The person who taught me the most about asset framing was a math teacher and a wrestling coach named Steve Tubman. Steve coached wrestling for 35 years at a little private school outside of Boston. That was a big hockey school. So many of the kids that found their way into our wrestling room were not always the most naturally athletic. For 3 years, I had the privilege of being Steve's assistant. Steve had this incredible gift where he could look at every boy, and eventually girls too, who made their way to the wrestling room, and he could imagine them as successful wrestlers. I'd see a kid walk in who looked gangly and clumsy, and Steve would say, "Oh, that kid has real long arms, good leverage. Let's teach him some headlocks and some throws." I'd see a scrawny, bookish kid, and Steve would say, "This kid's got a great memory for wrestling moves. Let's teach him a whole set of counters." For every young person who walked in the wrestling room, Steve could imagine them as the most successful possible version of themselves. Whether they were short or tall, skinny or stocky, every kid had strengths that could be encouraged and cultivated and worked with. So season after season, our school never had the biggest wrestling team and we never had the best natural athletes. But every meet took all night because even when we lost, every kid was out there wrestling their hardest for 3 full periods. I found Steve's imagination for students incredibly motivating. Ever since, with every young person who's walked in my classroom, I've tried to go through the same exercise of learning about a student and imagining them as successful. What does this young person have as a reader, as a debater, as a writer, as a teammate that will help them be successful? For me, asset framing is about looking at every young person and believing that they have a set of strengths, talents, and assets that can be nurtured and can be a foundation for their success in my classroom.